One of these things just doesn't belong here. Greetings and welcome back aboard NCC 9509A, the ISS Nemesis, for the Star Trek Online Starship Stats Review. Correction, Starships Stats Review. Because I could address both these ships separately, but they are so similar and yet uniquely different that this is one of those times where the best way to cover them is together, especially since if you have chosen to get the current Muds Market bundle, then you may be asking yourself right now, which of the two should you select? The Disco Inferno bundle has just released, and in it you can get your hands on the Flight Deck Carrier, the Miracle Worker Flight Deck Carrier, either the D7 or the Connie, both from Star Trek Discovery and Star Trek Strange New Worlds. They have such a distinctive difference that I must address this, but in this video you will get to see then, as a result, two variant builds, one using an old school style and one using new isomags. You'll see why as we discuss these ships. And secondly, well, I'll have to address these ships properly. So enjoy, I hope. Members of the Federation, the Klingon Defense Force, the Romulan Republic, the Dominion, and our guests from all other alliances. Now, before we go any further, I have to give away some details, as obviously they're going to shadow my opinions. Yeah, let's see if any of you agree with that by the end. First of all, Vavenel of the IKS Negful, the D7 below mine. Thank you for making this shot possible. Seriously, getting a shot like this is brilliant for these dual videos, or dual ship videos, and you are exactly the blessing I needed right now. Unlike when I first acquired the ship above, my Donnie, Discovery Constitution. Oh, have you seen the original review? I expressed it there, but I'll express it again. This was the ship that actually made me stop gambling for good when it comes to this game. Because, well, quite frankly, my ADHD and autism kicked in hard, especially for the dopamine, and I gambled way too much, well over £300, trying to get my hands on this ship, and that is why it is called the Nemesis, and why my D7 I have now, it's got a similar name. I spent too much time trying to get this ship, but I knew I wanted it. Honestly, if I'd known at the time, I'd have grabbed the ship below. But it was this ship I was really after. I wanted the Constitution from Discovery and now Strange New Worlds because it's beautiful. I absolutely love the way it looks. And I know there are some people that question its look. Don't worry, if you can acquire the legendary variant of the ship, and that will give you a more Constitution looking version of this ship. Not that this doesn't look like the Constitution. It looks a bit closer to the concept art. But no, stopping me there. Honestly, let's get to the stats. Because this ship can be acquired through the Muds Market bundle now, not just what is being shown on screen for cost. Yeah, it was a gamble ship. That really shadowed my opinions at first. Not that you're going to be able to tell that anymore. But I've had time to experience these ships. Plenty of time since that ship came out. And 4 years later, 5 years later, nearly 5 years later, it's safe to say I still like them. But let's really get to the stats. They're on screen. We have 2 tier 6 starships with their type being flight deck carrier. With a hull modifier of 1.4 and a shield modifier of 1.25, their turn rate is 9, impulse modifier is 0.18, and their inertia rating is 40. To humble that more, we have a beautiful bonus power setup of +5 to both shields and engines, and +10 to auxiliary and weapons. Which is why I called this ship a support masterpiece back in the day. With 4 device slots and 2 hangar bays, these starships also come with the Miracle Worker innovation effects, as these are full Miracle Worker vessels. They have the carrier commands, no duh, but also have shield frequency modulation and attract fire to their benefit, which makes them quite useful for tanks. So already we've been able to confirm that we have decent support capabilities, decent tanking capabilities. Now let's prove why players back when this ship was first released wanted it nerfed. Oh, yeah. No surprise it ended up in a promotion choice ship pack. Because these ships had 5 forward and 3 aft weapon slots with the ability to equip dual cannons. They had 3 science console slots. To net that aside, we can tell where support's going anyway. 3 tactical console slots and 5 engineering, with 1, as all Miracle Workers have, 1 universal console slot. Bearing in mind that if you X upgrade this ship now, 1 level X upgrade will give you 2 universal slots, and the X2 upgrade gives you 3. This has been a game changer for the ship. Now this ship, when it was released, we didn't have ISO mags, and this ship was already very potent as a DPS vessel. Suffice to say, I was quite impressed. Oh boy. I'm still not done here, because this ship comes with some special equipment which, for anyone who is starting a new game or is early on, some of the ship equipment you get with this ship, specifically the disruptors or the phasers, are really good in the early game. Right up to level 50, I would say. Maybe even a bit past. However, better weapons out there. They're just really good, easy to acquire weapons. More on that in a moment. Finally, the bridge officers for these ships. Damn! Do the bridge officers of these ships make the legendary version of the Donnie look weak? Because this has the impressive, I say impressive and start with the low end, Science Ensign, Universal Lieutenant, Universal Lieutenant Commander, Engineering Commander, and Lieutenant Commander Tactical. It's okay, I got that slightly in the wrong order. But to now stress this really hard, because these are kind of poignant, we have a Commander Engineering with Miracle Worker Specialization. Miracle Worker Specialization, good for you energy builds. Lieutenant Commander Tactical. Lieutenant Commander Universal. Lieutenant Universal with Command Specialization. There comes in you kinetic builds. And finally, the Ensign Science, which overall means this ship has amazing DPS ability, amazing tanking ability, and average support ability. Unless you want to go for DPS support, in which case, oh, the ship jumps right back in there. And ironically, this would even be the ship that I would say use for if you want to do a Kobayashi Maru run as a support healer. Basically, make sure the Kobayashi Maru can't be killed. Ways to do that. It's a type of tank build, but don't ask me to explain it right now. It would take too long. However, things don't stop here. The differences now come in. So, important differences to be aware of. Let's start with, well, addressing the elephant in the room. One is a Klingon ship, one is Federation. So you know what that means. One has a battle cloak. One has the ability to cloak, one actually has a battle cloak, should I say. And yes, that means that ship has a bit of an advantage when it comes to DPS. Though, only in DPS does that ship have the advantage. They are both equal as tanks, and they are both equal as supports. Please bear that in mind. To address the other elephants in the room, I believe we should start with the one I have most experience with. The Connie. Well guys, hey look, it's how the original series Connie looks. Oh, sorry, my correction. Just take that Kelvin skin off there. Ah, there we go. That's how it should have looked, right? Anyone else agree? That's how the ship should have looked when it appeared both in the JJ verse and in, well, in Star Trek Discovery and Strange New Worlds. But I digress. I take it back. It may not have been my first Enterprise, which is why I would love to see a TOS visual update. You know, something like this. But hey, I'm just saying, we can all acknowledge that this is a beautiful ship. Now, if you're wondering how I've got this look, I'm sorry, this is actually the Temple version. Yeah, it's the legendary variant. And I'm not sure if you can use the Terran variants parts on the ship as well, but if you can, well, you can get the ship looking absolutely thick. Yes, ISS Defiant, anyone? But, I digress. There are 3 fundamental differences between the two ships, other than, of course, the Klingon's cloak. And I'm here because, well, here's a good place to demonstrate them. So first of all, let's talk about the elephant in the room that I was hinting on earlier. For all you early game players, people who are in the early stages, well, you may not want to just slam a load of money into the game if you are new, but if you've been playing for a while, you know you like this game, and you're making a new character, you can make your early game a lot easier just by getting your hands on the advanced phasers, or in the Klingons' case, the advanced disruptors. Now, standardly speaking, these weapons will be whatever set level you are and leveling with you, with the input infinity. So, simply put, you won't need to replace these weapons at all throughout your gameplay up to level 65. They will level with you right up to that point. However, you can upgrade them and turn them into what I've done here, which gives them a mark variant. So instead of mark infinity, you simply put it in the upgrade, and that will change it from infinity to a mark type based on your present level, I believe. Otherwise, I wouldn't risk doing it until you're at least at Vice Admiral, just because if it goes to Mark 12, you can't use them on lower level ships. The summary is this. Although these are very average in damage, and I really do mean that, they are an average damage output just with a damage times 3 modifier by standard. These are not to be underestimated. And that is because of their special proc. A 5% chance for a critical severity boost with the advanced beam arrays for 15 seconds. Stacking. The buff stacks with the number of advanced ones you have equipped. So right now I have 4 equipped. So each one of them is giving me 10%. As you can see, I get a plus 40% critical severity boost. That will be with any of my advanced beams. So it won't apply the boost to my wide angle phaser. It's not going to apply the boost to my titanium enhanced phaser turret. That ain't going to happen. But what will happen is each of these advanced weapons, and for the early game, you can equip these right across your ship. These are going to be hitting nice, hard, and potent. Note, however, that it is only the advanced beam arrays. I say this because there is an extra weapon that comes with these ships. A torpedo. Known as the Advanced Photon Torpedo, this will also have the same damage modifier of damage times 3 unless you upgrade it. These do approximately average damage for photon torpedoes. I do believe it's actually a little bit higher, but they have no proc, and they also do not benefit from the advanced beams proc themselves. Just to keep that in mind. Now you can see I've upgraded my advanced beams here. This is because, as we'll go into later, I wanted to do 2 builds, and I wanted at least one of the builds I show you guys for the ship in action to show off what the weapons can do to a degree. Now, we'll first of all start with, on the Connie, the trait. This is because this is a good trait, but the D7's trait is superior. This is a trait that is better for you support players and even better for you tank players. Polarized, lattice optimized titanium armor. A heal and resistance buff after significant damage. When taking more than 20% damage of your maximum health, whatever your maximum health is, in 5 seconds, you will gain a trigger for this polarized lattice optimized titanium armor for 15 seconds. As a result, you will be immune to transport warheads. It's a nice little benefit against certain enemies, at least. You will gain 5,106 in my case hull heal over time. This can be boosted by boosting your healing capabilities, or should I say incoming heals. A plus 250 all damage resistance rating, and will remove a hazard debuff and DOT each second. That is for the 15-second period. So if you have 15 of these, I don't know how, you can eliminate only one of them per second for 15 seconds. Or if you gain one, it may be eliminated quite quickly. It depends. Side note, this can only be activated once every 45 seconds, and the more hull you have in total, the less likely this is to be triggered. You have to take 20% or more damage within a 5-second period. There are some things that can do that, but unless you're running elite as a tank, I doubt that's going to happen too often. That is kind of this trait's weakness. Now, honestly, that's not a problem for me. Like I say, this is better for tanks. But you could use it on DPS. DPS can use this as a get out of jail free card because of their spongier, more glass nature. It's just the unfortunate side effect of adding this to your DPS is probably going to be a significant debuff. I will note now, right now, before we go any further though, I'm using the trait of the D7 here. Why? Because it's a meta trait for DPS players. But like I said, this is better for tanks and support. The D7, that's your DPS players. That ship's DPS just in general. Overall score for the polarized lattice optimized titanium armor, which is a proper mouthful. Oh, play nice. 8 out of 10. It does the job it's meant to do. It does it well, and it's not a meta trait. Fine. But I do believe it's an underrated trait. Now, again with this ship, it's ironic that this ship is actually holding the equipment of both the D7 and itself, but that says how much I like the D7 stuff. This ship comes with the console, reinforced English, Ri'shad. Reinforcing squadron. Passive effects of plus 17.1 to kinetic damage resistance rating and plus 11.4 for shield hit points. Quite unfitting, the Federation is definitely more defensive than they are offensive. Am I giving a hint to what the Klingon console is going to be like? Maybe. The active ability Launch Squadron of Tactical Flyers at the target launches 4 tactical flyers squadrons to harass the foe, and well, affected pets will gain a 25% bonus all damage for 20 seconds. So essentially, all your pets are getting a little bit of a boost. Great. Not amazing, but great. Woo! Now, what are these tactical flyers they're talking about? Irony in irony, it's the hangar pet. Now, I'm not going to waste your time talking about the standard version because, oh, that's boring. But I will give you a quick rundown on the advanced, which apparently I'm blind to see. Oh, here they are. I went to the wrong one. Advanced tactical flyers have 9 advanced micro phaser beam arrays, 6 forward, 3 aft. God, wouldn't you love it for our ships to be able to have that kind of weapon layout? And emergency power to weapons too. Delightful. For fighter squadron, these are quite good. If you haven't predicted yet, so I'll cover it now. The Klingon versions are the same, just with disruptor weapons instead of phasers. In that same vein of things, excuse me, the elite tactical flyer squadrons will have the same weaponry, but emergency power to weapons 3 and direct energy modulation 2. If in case anyone's not noticed yet, I seem to love using those 2 bridge officer abilities on almost every single one of my builds. If not every single one of my builds, it's just a certain way I play. Personally speaking, these flyers are quite strong and nothing against them. The Klingon variant is pretty decent too. But I'm holding back here. Why am I holding back? Well, I could just show you what they can do. So first of all, to a single target in front, we're going to pick on that Jemadar that's targeted. Here comes a fighter squadron assault to see what it, well, can really do. Bearing in mind that that is a frigate type ship. Here they go. Warp themselves in 4 squadrons and they go wild. They will also target other ships nearby. So although I've got it focused onto one, these are basically the same as your hangar pets. They will target any nearby that they can. I beg your pardon. Did I say you can get involved? No, I did not. Please buzz off while I entertain my other weapons. I swear I'm not doing this on purpose. I'm completely doing this on purpose. Hangar pet's going crazy. Now, if this was a visual review, I would show you a proper good detailed look at them, but I can do this at least. And as you can see, modelled after the flyers seen in the final season or final episode of season 2 Discovery. These are beautiful. They're lovely. I love them. Anyway, D7. Welcome aboard the ISS Adversary, my personal D7. Now, this ship has a different build style. And, well, there it is. Obviously, I didn't go with the advanced disruptors. I went with a lovely spiral wave disruptors. Because I wanted a disruptor build for this, and my best disruptors are those. Now, while we're at it, I'm just going to launch off the fighters and let them go have their little bit of fun. Because you may or may not realise it, but irony in irony, because these are disruptor weapons, and happen to be the sensor-linked disruptors, well, can probably give you a rough idea of the sort of power they have. Same for the tactical flyers of the Federation ship. Those have the, I believe, sensor-linked phasers. I might be wrong. I would definitely expect to be sensor-linked for the Klingons because they definitely seem to do more DPS. Or that might just be me. Maybe it's because they're disruptors and they disruptor proc. If they are just Discovery-looking disruptors, but generally just disruptors anyway, then they may have the disruptor proc and that may be benefiting, but I'm not 100% sure. I do love watching them in action though, because it is so pretty and those disruptors look so beautiful. Beg your pardon? How very dare you? Never attack a Klingon warship unless you wish for war with the Empire. What was I saying? Okay. I digress. Honestly, I should focus here because we are looking at such a brilliant ship right now. The Donnie, Discovery Connie, is good, but this ship, well, as you can see, I'm using its trait. This ship comes with the Starship trait, the ruin of our enemies. One of the best traits in the game, especially for DPS, but honestly, a trait for all builds in my personal opinion. I don't really do a build without this trait, and if I don't use this trait, it's because I'm specifically avoiding a DPS build at the time. If I'm doing a DPS build, this trait will be on it. No matter what, this trait will be on it. When you defeat a foe, how very Klingon, plus 3% bonus all damage for 20 seconds. Now, not 3% increase in damage, 3% bonus all damage. So no matter what build you're doing, energy, kinetic, you name it, all your damage output is improved. Oh yeah, cannon, beams, go wild. This then stacks up to 100 times and the duration resets on trigger. Do you understand that? This is why it's a meta trait. It's insane. Just start off that last half. Right there alone, this trait breaks things. It's why a lot of people want it nerfing. If you can maintain combat, easy enough to do in a lot of situations, and can kill your targets, at least one target every 20 seconds, you'll keep stacking that up. But if you're like certain people, hello Oggy, you'll be proccing this over and over and over and over and over, and even if you get to 100 times proc, well, once you get to 100 times proc, because 100% guarantee you are going pop, 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 pop to everyone, because you're just doing that much extra damage. Can you imagine 300% bonus all damage on someone like Oggy? You get to that point and there's no way this trait is ending until the entire fight is over. Or someone manages to drag him away so it gets force reset. Someone has to drag him away for 20 seconds. Seriously. This trait is far too powerful. And I love it. Cryptic, that's not a cue for you to nerf it. Don't you fucking dare. Why? Because the reason to get a hold of the Muds Market bundle, literally the reason to get the Disco Infernal Muds Market bundle right now is this blasted trait. Because no matter what you're doing, this is a good trait to have. Promise you that. So really, if you are wondering between the two ships which one to get, and you don't mind either way, this one. This fucker. Have a different colony, because this fucker. These are basically the exact same ship, just with different trait and different console, and I'm not even done here. This trait is the only time I'm ever really going to get to say this, I think. 11 out of 10. And I can say that now because I no longer have to demark it for being in a gamble in pot on a one-time account. It's now account-wide unlock, so you can get it on all your characters. And it's guaranteed. 80 quid, people. 80 quid for a trait that has been in the meta for 5 years and doesn't look like it's going anywhere. Okay, so enough on the overhype on that one. You can tell I love this trait. You know what else I love? The console, rend visible. Now, just like before, where the Starfleet is showing its side towards tanking and defense, this is showing its sides towards Klingon-esque war, more power. The best defense is a great offense. Perfect Klingon. Sorry to overhype on it. But really, you can see it straight away. The passive effects, plus 8.6 to energy weapon damage. Great for you energy boats. I mean, this is a Miracle Worker ship, I'm not surprised. Plus 1.9 to auxiliary power settings. Well, do side builds. Just looking at you guys right now, and I'm not going to lie, I was really tempted to do a Dusai build on one of these two ships just to show how powerful that is. If I hadn't reset my colony a while back, I wouldn't have even changed the build I'm currently using. That would have been the Dusai build I show you. Why? Because that was powerful. But further on, before we go even into that, Vend visible. Decloaking. Negsha at the current target. Decloaks and rams them, you know, as we've seen, I think it's the second episode of Discovery, season 1. Rams its way through, does a beautiful amount of damage, looks absolutely gorgeous. And then starts firing on the enemy with advanced disruptor beams. Oh, and since I didn't clarify that earlier, if you're wondering about sound effects, since I've got the sound effects for this turned off at the moment, they sound like classic TOS phaser beams. And I believe the disruptors sound like classic TOS disruptors too, so woohoo! That's to say a lot. I could confirm that if I really wanted to. But first of all, I guess we do have no targets in front, so you guys return to me. Come, come, come. We'll have a little bit of fun, and I guess I will confirm it. So I'll take my Terran Task Force Disruptor heavy cannon off, and I'll put the advanced beam on just for now. We'll go back into the builds I'm physically using shortly when I talk about the stats. Hello, Galore. I need to test something against you, because I'm sure people are wondering. My audio's gone off again. It does love to do that. Right. Well. I can't confirm it myself, so... You tell me what it sounded like. Seeing as my audio issue has returned. Oh, this is getting to be a bit of a nightmare, Razor. Well, well, well. One last thing to show you. Rend visible. They're in range. Let's do it. And luckily, it's an ability you can use while cloaked. So they'll slam through, do a decent amount of damage, and then start attacking. First of all, firing advanced photons and then firing its beams. And as you can see, also uses our wonderful advanced phaser beams, as once again demonstrated here. Followed up by disruptor cannons, because who doesn't like the good old-fashioned Klingon fighting style? Or Cardassian fighting style? What can I say? I'm a fan of destroying. I really got to stop bullying targets though. It's not really fair. Ooh, Sensor Phantom. Hello, how you doing? Okay. So with that slight demonstration of that ability aside, and of course we've already seen the pets in action, here's some things for you. Now, people have been asking me each time about the build I'm using. I want to state right now, the build I'm using, do not take it as a good build to use yourself. I am not an expert when it comes to ship builds. If you want that, I strongly advise looking up Augmented Dictator Games, Stu, Neojet. There's a few more. Hey, Grumpy can be fun for it. Why? Because they make great videos, and Oggy makes, in my personal opinion, the best when it comes to this. He's easily my favourite. Ironically, my build is half based off of one of his, with a few of my own touches thrown in. That's why I say, don't rely on mine, go check his out. He'll give you the better build, because I've modified and I've made it worse. But here's the first thing I want to state. This build that I went for with the D7 Miracle Worker flight deck utilizes a more old style build fashion. We're using vulnerability locators, advanced tactical consoles, instead of utilizing the full strength of its engineering section and running isomags, as you would see more commonly nowadays. Ironically, this is very similar to my old-fashioned beam overload build, and this actually does around about the same damage as the old beam overload build did. On that note, I'm using the spiral wave disruptors. You can understand why. These have got the spiral proc, which essentially is quite strong. Instead of using the Terran Task Force phasers, I'm using the dual disruptor heavy cannon instead. As you can see, it gets the benefit in damage, and of course it has the basic disruptor lineup, as well as its own special proc. I've used some of Oggy's strong recommendations. The Elite Fleet Preservation Protomatter Deflector Shield. I'm using the Mycelial Wave Impulse Engine, though he would strongly advise you to use the prevailing Impulse Engine from the competitive rep. I'm utilizing the Isolated Protomatter Warp Core and the Channeling Covariant Shields from the Elite Fleet Channeling Covariant Shields. Of course, I've got the Lorca's Custom Fire Control on this ship. I'm running its console. I've used other consoles that are going to boost my cannon output or disruptor output in some way. Sensor Phantom is used for me to attempt to be flanking and boosting my direct energy damage, while I have Parasitic Ice, not one of the best consoles, but useful in this case because it's boosting cannon and projectile damage for me. I have a habit of combining the reinforced armaments along with my Trilithium enhanced weaponry. I now always equipped both the Omni and the Cat turret. I used to only equip one of them. This is for the 2-piece speed tweak set bonus, which gives me a 5% firing cycle haste benefit. Of course, I'm using Domino. Of course, I'm using DPRM. I'm using the Odyssey's flagship tactical computer, as I am always a support player, and so this is a very good console for myself. Not only does it boost my damage by 19%, it allows me to aid and boost the firing cycle haste of all my fellow DPS players. You will almost always see this on every single one of my support builds now, since it can be now equipped to any ship. And of course, because I was playing nice, I used the Tactical Attack Fighter Squadron. As far as my traits went, don't rely on these too much because this is not a great setup. But I used some of my personal favourites: Operative, Good Day to Die, Adaptive Offense, Cannon Training, the old Razzle Dazzle. Yeah, that's one of my favourites. Don't mind me. Innocuous, Last Ditch Effort, Context is for Kings, Intense Focus, Warp Theorist, and the must-have Boimler Effect. As far as Starship traits went, of course I've got Overpowered and Overgunned that you get from the legendary Defiant. I've got Emergency Weapon Cycle. If you don't have this trait, please get your hands on this. This is such a good trait to have. It's another one of those ones which I don't know if it's considered meta, but I would put it up there. Supercharged Weapons. I'm firing torpedoes all the time. It's useful. Target Rich Environment, as I went with a Cannon Scatter Volley build, but this is also one of those ones I tend to use for my Beam Fire at Will builds. Withering Barrage. It speaks for itself. Of course, I'm taking advantage of Ruin of Our Enemies, one of the best traits to have. Well, it is. And Universal Designs. Why? Because of the number of Universal consoles I tend to be clicking off. If you are using an EPG build, or science build, you really want to have this trait. I then also have Tireless Duality, Magnified Firepower, Enhanced Target Systems, Precision, and Advanced Engines for my Space Reputation traits. I will note now, this is not the best one to have in this set. You can make this so much more powerful if you rely on flying with someone who is a controlled expert and using control countermeasures. Why? Because as you can see, it's a larger bonus. You get 5% bonus weapon damage, or you can have 7.5 bonus weapon damage to any controlled targets. Now, yes, Magnified Firepower can be used more often, but there's a reason why Oggy uses controlled countermeasures in a lot of the builds I've seen of his. It is fundamentally better, and believe me, it is so easy just to slam one random control ability on. In the case of this build, I threw on the gravity well, and that's all you need. That will give you the benefit. So long as the control ability is in effect, you're getting this bonus damage. What did that mean for me? Well, oh yes. What we're looking up right now, I just got to double check. There it is. This was my run with the D7. As you can see, it did reasonably well. It actually did slightly better than my old beam overload build that I used on the Disco7 when I first got it. I believe that was 125. And suffice to say, I felt very comfortable. I had no real issues while I was flying this one. You can see the relative other players I was with. I believe 2 of them were DPSs. Probably standard or advanced level DPSs. I'm advanced level myself, so it's expected to see sort of that sort of twitch between us. And I think the other 2 were actually just testing out their ships. So please ignore their numbers. Honestly, I think the ship did really well with its build. When I ran it in 9th Raw as well, this was while I was leveling it up, just for a quick test and see how it did. Well, it didn't come back too bad. And threw myself off here. Before we go any further, I'll show the Disco7. It's easier that I show it now and then explain the Disco7's build. This one, where I was... it's kind of a gimmick build because I was utilising the advanced phasers, but like I say, they are actually good weapons. Did alright. Actually did the same as I did before with my beam overload, but this is the beam fire at will build. So I'm quite happy to see that. I'm pretty sure if I used beam overload, I'd have done a lot more damage. Probably could have hit that into the same park as the D7. Maybe a little bit higher, because I specialise with using phasers and I specialise with beams. Using cannons, it's not really my normal. So the D7 was kind of at an disadvantage there. But I do want to bring this up mainly because if we go to log analysis, I can now bring myself up. And we can see the advanced phaser beams did relatively well. Not ludicrously amazing, but well. I'm very happy to see what they can do. And honestly, for most builds, if you want an easy to acquire, really powerful weapon and you're a beam fight will player, you've got to get your hands on either the advanced disruptors or the advanced phasers. Personally, the advanced disruptors. They are more powerful. But of course, there is more support for phasers, which is why my phaser build variant would be slightly more powerful in my case. I have a lot of support for phasers. Sorry, I can support phasers a lot. I will note that this other player that was with me was a DPS player as well, and Lord have mercy, as you will see in a moment when we see these ships in action. Very safe to say, I am impressed. Damn, his shit was good. Now, no, what am I doing? Change the ship from the ISS Adversary to the ISS Nemesis, when I can remember how to spell Nemesis. Yeah, because I'm stupid, don't mind me. I told you this was going to be a long video, didn't I? Well, let's put the Kelvin hole back on it. Excuse me. Well, this ship, obviously I took advantage of certain things and went for set bonuses to try and boost up the power. So I'm using the dark matter quantum torpedoes combined with the wide arc, dual heavy phaser beams, and the Lorca's custom fire controller. This is a must-have console in almost every DPS build, I would say. Hell, even in a lot of non-DPS builds. Is it meta? Not so sure. But for me, the Lorca custom fire control has to be there somewhere. Normally I use it in conjunction with one other thing just to get the 2-piece bonus, and that will give me the critical severity boost. But in this situation, we're getting the 3-piece, and that means we're also firing extra dark matter quantum torpedoes to enemies that are below 50% health. It's a decent little boost. Side notes, once again, you can see I'm using the support flagship tactical control computer. I have the reinforcements on this one. I also have the render visible on it, and I'm using the Friar's World Elite Defense Satellite that you could have gotten in the past from an event, I believe. You can also get it in Mud's Market. If you don't have it, it's very worth getting, especially if you are an energy weapon player. 1, because it boosts your energy weapon damage, and 2, because it also reduces power cost. Beam overloads, have fun. I then combined it in with quite an expensive console to get your hands on. The experimental power redirection, which you get from the Excelsior 2. Technically the Excelsior 3, but we all forget that there was a refit Excelsior somewhere along the line, which would be the actual Excelsior 2. What? Pretty good console, once again boosting energy weapon damage and amplifying my critical severity. Once again, DPRM is involved, and whenever you do a phaser build, it has to be there somewhere. The immolating phaser lance, I fucking love the phaser lance, and I wish we could get a we have to get a disruptor version, and we have to get a plasma version of this lance. It has to be done cryptic, please. And while you're at it, an anti-proton one, Tetrion, and Polaron, because all the other energy types need some love as well. You can't just keep loving phaser and sometimes disruptor, basically kicking the Romulans because you don't want to support plasma. No offense. Obviously use the flyer weapons. You can see my weapons at the back on this ship were relatively similar. Once again, I was using the Trilithium enhanced phaser turrets, but this time round I didn't have what would have made a big difference for this ship: the actual reinforced armaments. And the reason this makes such a big difference is not only does it give the ship more protection, that hull capacity boost, hull restoration boost and hull capacity boost, and power transfer rate, but by combining it in a set, you get, once again, speed tweaks, which has a fire cycle haste. Now, if I had that combined onto this ship and just dropped reinforced armaments, which is what I would do. So if I was actually doing this ship build, that's what I would be doing. I wouldn't be using its pets. That will sizably improve, ironically, the damage output of the ship. Especially considering both these weapons have their own hastes anyway. But hey, both of them without it still have their haste, and they still do decent enough damage. And as we saw, the advanced phaser beams I was using could do with a bit of re-engineering. But I thought, why not have the Crit X there and see what they do? If I did re-engineer them and have them modified out for the damage times 4, the damage once again would be higher. But that's unfair to show. Honestly, I wanted to show these are like just upgraded, and they did really, really well. The rest of the ship is basically the same build as previously. Traits as well. Very close to the same build as previously, but I tried to give this ship more of a edge towards survivability, more federation than I did DPS, which is why another reason why its DPS power was lower. And this time, I was using biotech patch instead. I was also using pattern recognition instead. And not one of my favourites, but fun to use, Duelist Feather. Now, I'm going to state this right now. In either or build, what I did with the D7 is superior to what I did with the Donnie. So those space traits I'm not going to go any more into. If you did want to do a beam build, Swap out the cannons with beam training, and there you go. Simple as that, really. However, there was a bit of a change up down here with the Starship traits. Obviously, the space reputation traits stayed the same because it's a basic bridge. My 2 extra traits stayed the same, universal designs, and of course I was using ruin of our enemies. And the 2 first traits stay the same, overpowered, overgunned, and emergency weapon cycle. You can tell the sort of meta traits when they tend to stick in there. But then I went for a bit of fun with this fire wheel build, so I did preferential targeting rather than target rich environment. Have fun with that. Thunder Run, and another lovely one, calculated broadsides. Because I was going with fire wheel build, I just went, you know what, I'll go with all the fire wheel traits. Does pretty well, can do better, but well, to each their own, right? Well, enough of that. Let me show you these ships actually in action.
Day and all night, we'd stay up, it felt so right. We were so young, we were so dumb. We would get drunk and then hook up. We were okay, we were alright, staying awake till the sunrise. We were in love, couldn't stop us, like a good drug, yeah. Never run. We'd hook up in my car, driving so far, play your guitar, you'd show me your art, let down our guards, think with our hearts, stare at the stars, we were never apart, drinking too young, way too much fun, out in the sun, hoping when it's gone, took you to prom, dance to our song, dance all night long till the lights come on. It's too late now, I remember everything, and how careless we could be, and how careless we could be, and how careless we could be. Nights, long fights, it felt right, we were alive, we would go out, we were so loud, we were so proud, we had no doubts, weekends and weekdays, we'd spend our own way, we were careless, we were fearless, we were reckless, time was precious. We loved to waste time, whiskey and wine, drinking all night, asleep by your side, finally alive, we would just drive, never arrive, our journey was live, staying out late, testing our fate, running away, we live for today, young and so bold, never get old, screw what we're told, we can't be controlled. It's too late now, I remember everything, and how careless we could be, and how careless we could be, and how careless we could be.
Get so bad, I'm like, I might grab a bat, I don't know, my wrath, my blood boils over like, oh God, here goes. I lost all feeling from my head to my toes. You said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show. So have you ever felt betrayed? Switches how you see things, realize something needs change. Cause I know you got me fucked up, let me show you what's up. Cause enough is enough. I'll take a face full of pavement just to make a statement. I know there's no turning back. Oh God, adrenaline wasted, so mad I can taste it. I know there's no turning back. I'll do what it takes, I ain't making mistakes like that. I'll put it on your face to make you go take it back. I'll lose my shit, I go crazy when I'm mad. And now you go wish you would shut the fuck up real bad. And now that I'm gone, yeah, I know there's no turning back. And now that I'm gone, yeah, I know there's no turning back. I don't fucking take smoke, I'm a poke a hole through you, choking's overdue. Come at me and you won't get any older, dude. Crack your holder too. Heating up inside of me, blood so violently. Thanks for trying me. Now it's finally time to see how this rivalry becomes a dynasty. I know there's no turning back. Oh God, adrenaline wasted, so mad I can taste it. I know there's no turning back. I'll do what it takes, I ain't making mistakes like that. I'll put it on your face to make you go take it back. I'll lose my shit, I go crazy when I'm mad. And now you go wish you would shut the fuck up real bad. And now that I'm gone, yeah, I know there's no turning back. And now that I'm gone, yeah, I know there's no turning back. You can see the writing on the pavement. Young kids, they're growing up in basements. Online, a whole new generation. I'ma make mine, so you better go take it. Always, they need a new replacement. Decentralized, can't contain it. We're changing lives, yeah, upgrading. Call it suicide of the older generation. What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. Hey, it's too late. at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. Hey, oh yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong.
Now, having seen this ship in action, let's have a quick stop off over here so we can show you some customization. And we'll start off with the worst ship in customization. Now, yeah, I can't believe I'm saying the D7 is the worst at something, but customization is the spot where it's the worst. Forgive me. However, decent bridge to be had on the ship, and there are some nice Klingon bridges. Unfortunately, there's no... Oh, there is a Katinga bridge. You can have that on here if you want. But suffice to say, this ship is the one with the most limited customization. Now, I really did hope, much like I was kind of hoping they would do with the Donnie, but they didn't, because, well, technically they can't, because they're not the same size. I thought this D7 was the same size as the actual D7 in TOS and that, and somewhat later. So I was hoping that this would be combined with the D7 framework, and that you'd be able to use all D7 components from past D7s on this ship. Unfortunately, not. It would also have been very nice to have the Kelvin D7 available here, because that would just be funny. But suffice to say, we have some fun. We had the Burrell, the Charg, the D7, the Discovery era D7, Katinga Alpha, Katinga Beta, which is one of my personal favorites, honestly, on this ship. The Machala, the Kronos 1, which you can see it has some of its gold plating in there, just doesn't seem to work really well on this ship. TOS D7, which is another one of my personal favorites. Definitely over the TOS D7 refit, because honestly, the mint green doesn't work for me. I like the sort of mint green with chocolate chips, but yeah, okay. Type 0, Type 1 to Type 3. A Type 3A, which is quite interesting, and again, one that I actually like. I think it does look good on the ship, and some of you may enjoy it too, so let me know. Whoops. Type 4, we've seen that before in the old tier 5s. Upgrade, Veteran, Voyager, and Rodaval. Honestly, if you want a fun one, I think the Voyager is quite beautiful for this ship. Just a shame, didn't have any components to match into it. But, of course, we have the Donnie as well now, which if I can find and learn how to remember how to whoopsie daisy, hello there, spell, so I can find it a bit quicker, because stupid. We've got more customization, and that's one. Stop. Now it's put the discovery hull on it. Ay. Get off my ship. So right now you can see what I did to the ship, and I had it very TOS looking, but I'm using all of the Temple version parts. So this is all of the Constitution Gamma components that you get with the legendary version of the Disco Connie. With this ship that you get, the Miracle Worker version, you get access to the Constitution Beta, which honestly looks absolutely beautiful. I love the red facades. Or you get the Constitution itself, as seen primarily in Strange New Worlds. I think Strange New Worlds is the orange facades, which, let's be fair, is right. And thanks to all of this, you can get quite close to having, with just this ship alone, a TOS looking ship. You can use the Type 0 hull, and that will get you most of the way there. You just have concept art pylons on it instead, because if you haven't seen, the concept art actually had swept back pylons, which is what Discovery was doing a lot of, making concept art reality. Visual rebooting. You could also use the NX refit. That will give you a nice white hull on it, bit of a deeper blue glow, but fun, and it's more detailed hull. Or you could use, if you really want to be fun and a bit of a wind up to people, the Type 8B hull. It'll give you a blue glowing deflector, but the rest of it looks basically Connie. Bearing in mind you also have upgrade, veteran, Type 8, Type 7, not really the best looking on the ship in my personal opinion, but hey, Type 7 is not aged well. I'm glad they did an update for that. Type 6, really glad there's no updates here. Type 5, probably the best aging of them all. 4, 3, 2, 1. We have the Sovereign refit, one that I love to throw on this ship because it just keeps the deflector looking traditional, but gives it an element of high tech. Probably my favorite way to fly this ship at first when I first got it. Sovereign, NX refit, NX. Bear in mind that the NX versions have blue impulse engines. Oh, now why no one complained about that back in the day? Because Starfleet had blue impulse engines. And it was the Vulcans that had the red impulse engines. That's why Discovery does stuff like this. Sorry, I always have to jab at that. Intrepid, Galaxy. You gotta love Galaxy on everything. Galaxy looks beautiful no matter where you put that hole. Discovery's era, Type 5, Type 3, Type 4, Type 4, Type 3, Type 2, Type 1, Constitution Gamma, which is a lighter version, having far more of a traditional look. Constitution and, of course, Defiant is in there too. Once again, looking quite nice on the ship. So to round it up, quite frankly, looks beautiful. Should be noted though, I've not mentioned it yet, but it's worth mentioning. There are interiors available for the ship. With a bit of a cost to yourself, you can have a Constitution style bridge, but unfortunately they didn't think to give us a updated modern Constitution from Discovery. Maybe in the future we'll get lucky enough and the Walker Bridge will not be the only Discovery bridge we have, or Discovery era bridge. I would love to see the Strange New World bridge brought in. But overall, I'm quite happy with customizations as well. So, to round it out. And so with that, I think it should be clear which one my favourite is. Hello. Yeah, I've got a lot more experience with the old Donnie. Had it now 5 years, absolutely love the ship, fly it all the time. But I've got to say one thing. When it comes down to sheer build potential, well, these ships are exactly the same stats wise. And with one clearly having the better trait and console, and honestly, if you know what you're doing, these advanced disruptors are just as powerful as the advanced phasers. For me, it's a no-brainer which of the two to get your hands on. Frankly speaking, the Discovery D7 is a powerhouse, a DPS prodigy, and I wish I had it sooner. But like I say, I wanted the Connie, I got the Connie, I love the Connie. So I can only put it this way. Overall scores for these ships: support score 6 out of 10. It is kind of its weak spot, except for DPS. I say as I'm about to shoot hard. Tanking. They are separate. Thanks to its console and trait, the Miracle Worker Constitution the Discovery's Constitution edges out one extra mark as a 9 out of 10 for tank, while the D7 gets 8 out of 10 for tank. The irony in this, because the exact same thing happens when you go the opposite direction. Now, in the past I wouldn't have been able to say this. Thanks to the new ISO mags. Oh, I can say this. DPS capability. Honestly, once again, one gets one mark higher than the other because of console and trait. With the D7 winning in the DPS mark with a 10 out of 10. And the Donnie coming in second there with 9 out of 10. They're very close, aren't they? Well, of course they are. They're basically the same ship. But that cloak, that console and that trait definitely make the DPS higher here in D7. Overall score? I think it should be obvious. 9 out of 10 is my overall score for these ships. And 100% do I recommend getting these. For every player, I recommend these ships. They're so flexible, so adaptable. And yes, that's two different things in my brain. They're strong, resilient, fast, beautiful. I don't think either of them are bad looking ships. Great for Space Barbie. Shame with the customization, but I'm not complaining if I'm totally honest. Quite frankly, I love these ships and would love to hear what you think of these ships in the comment section below. I had to cover these ships together, so I'm apologizing now for this longer video. And to the people on screen, Sky, XG, Tribal, thank you so much for being Patreons. And depending, because I may have missed, and I apologize if I have, but to any new Patreons right now, to new donations, or new YouTube members, you guys, thank you so much for helping out this channel, and hope to see you all in the near future. This is my dream, this is the thing that saves my health, keeps me breathing, and you guys make a major difference. Thank you so much for all the support you've shown me over the years. Until next time, stay safe, and since it wins, kapla!